From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I am Azino Appeal. Our top stories tonight. President Tinubu hosts Madagascan president in Abuja as both leaders seek to deepen diplomatic relations. And federal government considers retaliatory actions following xenophobic attack on Nigerians in South Africa. Contenders in Peru presidential election tie as officials near end of vote counting in Sunday's elections.
And in business, Nigeria records trade surplus of 7.54 trillion naira in first quarter of 2026, indicating increase from previous quarter.
In sports news tonight, Nigeria routs Senegal 3-0 in Ikenne, Ogun State as WAFCON preparations get underway.
Tonight begins now. Details in a moment. Welcome again. Now we begin tonight at the presidential villa where Nigeria and Madagascar are seeking a stronger bilateral tie, as President Tinubu hosted his counterpart, Michael Randrianirina, in Abuja on Monday. The meeting is expected to further strengthen ties between Nigeria and Madagascar, with discussions focusing on enhancing cooperation and engagement on issues of mutual interest within Africa. Both countries have continued to pursue closer collaborations in areas aimed at promoting regional development, economic growth, and continental integration.
In the area of hydrocarbons exploration, energy partnerships, and so forth with Nigerian companies, the president wants to expand cooperation between countries within the African continent. And he did make the point that by its geographical location, Nigeria and Madagascar are joined at the hip.
Now to security matters, where President Bola Tinubu also praised Nigeria's security personnel for their courage and sacrifices in the fight against terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and other threats across the country. In a message posted on his X handle, the president described frontline troops as a shield protecting citizens and safeguarding national stability. He acknowledged the difficult conditions under which they operate across forests, roads, creeks, air, and remote bases. Tinubu extended appreciation to the armed forces, the police, DSS, civil defense, and intelligence agencies, while also honoring fallen heroes and their families. He urged citizens to support security efforts through timely information sharing. Reaffirming national resolve, he said Nigeria will not surrender to fear or violence, stressing that fighting terror is a national duty requiring public cooperation. Now, the federal government says that plans to evacuate distressed Nigerians from South Africa are progressing, with President Bola Tinubu directing that an aircraft be deployed to bring affected citizens back home. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, disclosed that documentation and screening processes involving South African authorities are ongoing, while crisis response teams have been activated through Nigeria's diplomatic missions to assist citizens across different provinces. The minister dismissed claims that those affected are illegal immigrants, insisting that many are legitimate business owners whose properties have been looted and destroyed amid attacks and intimidation.
Citizens are being harassed. Our citizens, their properties are being looted. Criminal actions are perpetuated on our citizens. The police refuse to do anything. The South African government has not come out strongly, firmly enough to condemn these incidents. So our citizens are imperiled. They are in distress. So they cannot be said to be illegal migrants. People who are doing legitimate business have their shops looted. They have their shops set on fire. Children cannot go to school because they are intimidated in their schools. So to say that Nigerians who are in South Africa doing legitimate business are illegal migrants is absolutely untrue.
The West African Examinations Council has reacted to the complaints by parents and stakeholders over the disruptions in the ongoing 2026 WASSCE, which resulted in students writing exams late into the night. WAEC says the situation is driven by a mix of logistical challenges and security-related setbacks. In a statement, WAEC's head of public affairs, Moyosola Adesina, says recent protests linked to the abduction of school children affected the movement of examination materials and personnel, adding another layer of pressure on an already strained system. The commission added that the situation was made worse by the death of 3 of its staff members in a road crash in Borno State. WAEC says it is working to stabilize operations and complete the remaining papers. Now, for this conversation, let's turn to an education consultant, Dr. Peter Ogundoro. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir, tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, Doctor, exams late into the night. Now, this is worrying. WAEC says security and logistics caused the disruption. Does this incident reveal a failure of contingency planning within our examination system?
Yeah, well, it reveals a failure of the entire Nigerian system. WAEC is an element of a larger system, and no matter how much we try and whatever may be our wishes, WAEC is not likely to continue to function effectively in the face of the enormous security challenges we're facing as a country. And so we will have to approach the current circumstances under which these children are writing exams with some level of empathy and sympathy. WAEC lost staff, and of course, we know that across our country, we are not experiencing normal times. And so if we are not careful, our natural human tendency will be to blame WAEC, which in some sense is also a victim of the system. And so I want to confirm indeed that they are grappling with enormous difficulties. If you haven't gone to some parts of this country, if the only places you know in Nigeria are Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, you might think that we live in normal times. But you see, the average Nigerian child writing WAEC exam is not writing it in these kinds of places most of us are familiar with. The terrains in Adamawa, in Yola, you know, in Taraba, even in far-flung places like Akwa Ibom, Calabar, etc. Most of these places are very difficult terrains to navigate. And so no matter how hard WAEC tries, they will continue to grapple with these challenges until the political masters rise up to the occasion and recognize that indeed we are not where we should be security-wise, as well as infrastructure-wise. And do something about putting the right systems in place that will make it easy for all of us to do our jobs the way we should do them.
Dr. Empathy, indeed. I'm wondering about the impact on the children, the candidates. I mean, can students be fairly assessed when they are forced to write important examinations late into the night under such stressful conditions?
Certainly, you are not going to conduct valid exams under such circumstances, because what we want to achieve with the WASSCE is not to get our children to fail exams, but to conduct exams in environments that will enable us to determine in precise terms and accurately the level of knowledge and skills that our children have acquired in the course of the 6 years they have spent in school. And so when you put a child in an environment where he's struggling to see, and he is not even sitting comfortably, and he's afraid of even returning home late, and his parents are also worried, and the people are trying to use phones to try to reach him. In such circumstances, such a child is not in the state of mind that will make it possible for him to reveal as much as he has the capacity to reveal. So we are not being fair to the children as a society. It's not just WAEC, of course, as I have already put on record. WAEC is just, in some sense, even a victim of a society that is badly run. So I agree with you. In all honesty, there's no way children can give their best under such terrible circumstances.
Doctor, it is true, and situations like this would often expose more than meets the eye. So one has to ask what deeper weaknesses in Nigeria's education administration this controversy has exposed.
Well, Well, it's an open secret that we are not funding the system adequately. And with respect to technology, we are far behind time. In terms of even human capacity, we haven't, WAEC or NECO or JAM, they haven't got the kind of, human capital they need to be able to give us the kind of results all of us, desire to have. We are not training as much as we should be training. Even when we train, we are not sending our people to the right places. And the people who are talking to them as trainers, they themselves probably need help. So in the face of all of these infrastructural, funding and human capacity deficiencies, we shouldn't be expecting that WAEC will give us anything better than what we have seen, for example, JAM deliver. JAM that conducts just examine only 4 subjects and multiple choice, they still run into very big challenges. Not to talk about WAEC that has to do multiple choice, do essay, and do practical exams that involve laboratory work. So their challenge would definitely be bigger than that of WAEC than that of JAM. So if JAM is not doing very well in terms of smooth operations, you should expect bigger problems when WAEC and NECO are involved.
Dr. Ogundoro, a lack of human capital, lack of training, infrastructural deficiencies. So should examination bodies begin to rethink how national examinations are conducted in an era of growing insecurity?
Definitely, that's the way to go. I am expecting that we should be able to get to a point where we won't even rely essentially on WASSCE, conducted by WAEC and NECO, and then JAM UTME conducted by JAM, to determine who has got the best education from our system and probably who is ready to benefit from university education. We should be able to put in place a system that will make us trust the internal exams that schools conduct and use what we call the transcripts of children, where we look at comprehensively how they have performed from JS1 to SS3 and use that as a means of determining who is ready to go to university. We should get to a point where we trust what our teachers are doing in classrooms, how they're assessing, and cumulatively determine who has done well and who hasn't done well, and use that as a basis for determining who moves to the next stage in the education system. We cannot continue to trust what is going on, because the examination malpractice is also rife, and despite our best efforts, we are not going to conduct a WAEC, NECO, and JAMB exam that will give us valid results. So we should start experimenting with using transcripts produced from internal examinations that are conducted with some valid infrastructure and human capacity, using all of that to determine who is ready to benefit from university education. This is looking like it is failing, and it will continue to fail.
Dr. Peter Ogundoro, thank you very much for having this conversation with us tonight.
My pleasure.
Coming up tonight, 3 feared dead in Warri-Itakpe rail accident as 4 coaches run off track. Details of this and more when we return. Stay with us. You're welcome back. You're watching Tonight on News Central. Now, a reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu hosts Madagascan president in Abuja as both leaders seek to deepen diplomatic relations, and the federal government considers retaliatory action following xenophobic attack on Nigerians in South Africa. Contenders in Peru presidential election tie as officials near end of vote counting in Sunday's election. Now, staying with security matters, in the northeast, the major breakthrough the Joint Task Force operation had in Kai says it has rescued 360 abductees from a Boko Haram enclave in southern Borno State. The victims, women, children, and elderly persons, were held in the Mandara Mountains around the Ngoshi axis, where troops say they carried out an intelligence-led operation targeting a justified, or rather fortified, Jas faction stronghold. Now, military authorities say weeks of surveillance and planning helped locate the hostages, but the mission also came with tragedy, as 2 infants reportedly died from exhaustion linked to harsh captivity and evacuation challenges.
Some months ago, I was here and I've commiserated with them. Government has released millions of naira in rehabilitating the destroyed community by Ngoshe, and so far so good. The local government chairman is doing very well, and the work is about to be completed. Furthermore, we are here to support them with relief material, food and non-food items. Each and every household will receive food and non-food items. But most importantly, we are also interfacing with the community about their return. Those that are willing to return to this community, we are working with the Nigerian Armed Forces, as well as other security agencies, with a view to establishing institutional arrangement that will ensure their dignified return. Those that are not willing to return to their hometown, Borno State government will do everything possible to resettle them in a very safe place. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Nigerian Railway Corporation has confirmed the derailment of 4 coaches on the Warri-Itakpe rail train service. The incident occurred on Monday, prompting the immediate deployment of emergency response teams and relevant authorities to the scene. The corporation says officials are managing the situation and providing necessary assistance to passengers. NRC Managing Director Kayode Akwefa stated that the agency is closely monitoring developments and will provide further updates as more information becomes available. The corporation describes the incident as a derailment, a situation in which coaches leave the rail track. The cause of the incident has not yet been disclosed, while details regarding possible casualties remain unclear. Authorities have urged the public to remain calm and await verified information. Now to infrastructure. The Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says that the FCT administration is set for commissioning of key road projects across the capital. He commended the contractors involved in the construction of the projects for keeping to agreed timelines and assured that government will keep to promises made to citizens.
Tomorrow, the president will start the commissioning the WASSCE road, which was the first place we visited this morning. And
reactions have continued to trail the demolition of a property located at number 25 plot 2050B, Yakubu Gowon Crescent in the Asokoro district of Abuja, following outcry by owner of the property, Suleiman Abdullahi. Officials who carried out the exercise say they were following instructions from high up in government. Our correspondent Charles Pius here tells us more in this report.
The demolition exercise has left many unanswered questions, with several parts of the property already pulled down by bulldozers from the Office of the Development Control, a department under the FCT administration. The owner of the property, 75 years old Suleiman Abdullahi, says that he is perplexed by the entire incident.
What I do not know and is baffling me is why after 30 years somebody will find it fit to come and say they want to acquire my property. Now, the rumor going around is they say it is the First Lady that had interest in my house. How can First Lady, who has all the machinery of government at her disposal to be allocated land, fresh land, anywhere in this country, will choose not to go and look for land except my house?
So we try to reach out to everybody we can reach out to help us talk to them that, look, this property belongs to an elder statesman, somebody who has served this country for more than 60 years. And he's more than 80 years old. He's supposed to be enjoying his retirement. And his retirement benefit is supposed to be this house. And somebody is claiming that he has interest in it and he wants to demolish it without any court order, without anything.
The owner of the property and his clients say despite valid allocated land papers with certificate of ownership documents issued in 2005 and the incidents being reported to the Asokoro police station, all they hear is that the property is being demolished by orders from high up in government.
Thursday, they came back and met some of the tenants in the property. And that one made some wild allegations that it was ordered from the First Lady, that's from the presidency. From there, the DPO said, okay, since this was from an order from there, there's nothing we can do. All this were done verbally.
So this is a mystery to me. And I think, you know, the country should not be run like this. The president should not allow himself or his family members to be seen to be encroaching on the freedom and liberty of people, because this one will actually destroy, you know, what we call democracy.
The development control is yet to come out clean on who issued the order for demolition and the motive behind the action. News Central Television is following up on the story and will bring updates as more detail emerge.
Now, the Commissioner of Police of the Federal Capital Territory, Ahmed Sanusi, has tasked personnel of the newly launched Violent Crime Response Unit to discharge their duties professionally and justify the trust reposed on them by residents. Sanusi also warned officers against misconduct, saying that any personnel found guilty of unprofessional conduct will face disciplinary action. News Central's Idong Joseph here reports.
The inspection of personnel.
The replacement of the Special Weapons and Tactics Team, also known as SWAT, with the Violent Crime Response Unit in the Federal Capital Territory, comes about 4 weeks after the Inspector General of Police announced major reforms within the police. The new unit, according to the FCT Commissioner of Police, is structured into various operational sectors.
The creation of this unit reflects the commitment of the leadership of the Nigeria Police Force towards proactively addressing threats posed by armed robbery, kidnapping, violent attacks, organized criminal activities, and other serious crimes that require specialized response. Within the FCT command, this unit has been strategically structured into 5 operational sectors to ensure broader coverage, faster response, effective capability, and improved intelligence gathering.
With Violent Crime Response Unit expected to be established across the 36 states of the Federation, personnel were urged during the launch in Abuja to maintain professionalism in the discharge of their duties.
Anyone who chooses to drag the name and image of the Nigerian Police Force into disrepute through unprofessionalism and unprofessional conduct will be identified, sanctioned, and decisively dealt with in accordance with extant regulations.
As the unit is expected to rely strictly on credible intelligence, other stakeholders assured their support to ensure it delivers on its mandates.
I assure you that wherever you go in the FCT, including the interiors of the area councils, you will see our soldiers there. We are always there to give you the necessary support and backing. Do you understand?
We assure you that our Council of Chiefs will continue to mobilize our subjects to support the police in the intelligence gathering.
With emphasis on transparency and accountability in the operations of the unit, the command urged residents to support its activities with timely and credible information. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
Now to politics. Crisis has continued to rock the Labour Party as a presidential aspirant who was screened during the party's presidential and National Assembly screening exercise in May 2026, has accused the party of tribal bias and insincerity. During a press conference in Abuja, the aspirant Peter Agada alleged that he was betrayed by the party and has demanded for a full refund of all money spent during his time at the party.
The second reason I have taken time to explain my betrayal and exit from the Labour Party under its present leadership, which is evidently steeped in incredible insincerity, tribal myopia and repression. To this end, court proceeding bordering on fraud and obtaining under false pretense has been served today at the instance of the TMN on the Labour Party and the party's felony confederates. I have written a number of letters to the party requesting that they refund.
Still ahead tonight, death toll rises in Philippines earthquake. Details when we return. Stay with us. Now, World Oceans Day, marked every June 8th, reminds us that ocean covers over 70% of the planet and drives our climate, food supply, and also livelihoods. Now, the day calls for protecting marine ecosystems from pollution, overfishing, and climate change while using ocean resources sustainably. Nigeria, with an estimated 853-kilometer coastline and vast maritime territory, is increasingly tapping into what's called the blue economy. This means using ocean and coastal resources for growth while keeping them healthy for the future. Meanwhile, Nigeria launched a national blue economy policy and created a Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy in 2023 to coordinate ports, fisheries, tourism, and offshore energy. The goal is to diversify from oil and create jobs and upgrades existing ports, aim to make Nigeria a West African shipping hub. But ports cut trade costs and reduce pressures on roads. Now we're joined by an environmentalist, Dr. Fineface Dumnanimene. Now, Doctor, thank you very much for joining us. Let's have this conversation here, Doctor. Doctor, Nigeria is eager to grow its blue economy, yet many coastal communities still struggle with environmental degradation. Can sustainable ocean-based growth happen without first addressing these long-standing problems?
Thank you. I think we cannot achieve any meaningful development without having to address issues that affect coastal communities across Nigeria. Because the coastal communities depend on the water, they depend on the river, they depend on the creeks, they depend on the estuaries, they depend on the tributaries of the ocean. And the ocean serve these very important aspects of their lives. Many more communities live within the ocean banks, and they depend on the water bodies to address their livelihoods, to live their life. They even drink from some of the water bodies. So if the environment is polluted and it is not being addressed as supposed, then it is a challenge for coastal communities and, of course, every human to really be able to live. Because if the ocean is destroyed by environmental pollution, oil spills coming from multinational oil companies, indigenous oil companies, and those who are involved in illegal refineries, or even by families and people who throw dead plastics into the river bodies, then the ocean cannot be able to serve our interests. In the Niger Delta, many multinational oil companies and industries also empty their waste into the water bodies, and all of these find their way into the ocean. And we have heard that by 2050, if steps are not taken, we are going to have more plastics in the river than we have fishes. So this year's World Ocean Day is very important for us to reflect on some of these issues, because we are looking at the ocean and the team is talking about us reimagining beyond the current world. And then we should look at the ocean with a new relationship. So looking at how the ocean is very important and how we need to look beyond this world that we are looking at, it's important for us to really talk about the ocean, address ocean issues, and stop environmental pollution to the best of our abilities. Because in other climes, you have people using their ocean, their tributaries, their water bodies as source of tourism, making money out of it. But in the Niger Delta and parts of Nigeria, the pollution we have in the water bodies is not making us to really be able to maximize the coral reef and other important resources and flora that we have within the ocean bodies. Our water bodies are all dead in this part of the world, and we must try as much as we can to protect the environment, protect the water bodies, and protect our ocean.
Your view, is Nigeria currently doing enough to protect its marine environment while pursuing economic opportunities from the ocean?
I don't think so. I don't think Nigeria is doing enough, because even with the establishment of the Ministry of Blue Economy, that ministry is not doing anything. In fact, it's as if it is not in existence. And then you see when the government keeps quiet, and you see those who are involved in crude oil theft, pumping crude and polluting the environment, and then they don't even give any functional contracts that has to do with, clearing the waterways and removing dirt from the water body. So Nigeria is not doing enough to really be able to address issues around ocean. And as a result of that, our ocean is in their need of the people of Nigeria, the government of Nigeria, to take action and clean the ocean, make it to be something that is similar to what we have in other parts of the world. So Nigeria needs to do more, because the ocean supports our lives. And when we fail to really address issues around the ocean, whenever there is climate change issues and of course global warming, you see the rise in sea level. It comes from the ocean, and the people begin to suffer from it. So the government must do everything humanly possible and governmentally possible so that we can address issues associated with our water bodies, our ocean, like we have in other parts of the world.
Ministry of Blue Economy, in view, which areas of the blue economy offer the greatest potential, for jobs and also growth? And that's without replacing further or putting further pressure on already, fragile ecosystems.
I think the ocean contains even more resources than the land. So if we have a Ministry of Blue Economy and it is not developing what it needed to develop in the area of blue economy, creating jobs and bringing governance around the ocean system, having fishing trawlers, and developing other resources that we have, then the Blue Economy Ministry is not doing enough. Today, we are trying to transition from fossil fuel to clean and renewable energy. Nigeria has adopted gas as its energy transition fuel. How much is Nigeria doing to use hydro, which is water, to generate electricity for the country? It is unfortunate that we are surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean. We are surrounded by water everywhere. You have a lot of coastal areas from Lagos in the southwest to the southeast to the south-south, everywhere. Even in the northeast, you have the Lake Chad. We are surrounded by water, yet we cannot maximize the potentials of the ocean to benefit us. So the blue economy should do enough to looking into areas of trying to develop the ocean resources that will benefit the people of Nigeria. If we have a national conference on the development of Nigeria's blue economy, we are able to discuss and put some of these things to the fore. And then the government will implement it as a roadmap to developing the blue economy that we have in Nigeria. But a situation whereby the Ministry of Blue Economy is just dormant, not doing anything necessary to really be able to develop that area, then it becomes an issue. We must be able to develop our ocean resources. Look at it today. We have the Strait of Hormuz in Iran, where we are having some of these issues. If we are also able to develop our own water bodies here, we have a lot of oil vessels passing through their waters, moving here and there. We can also be able to maximize their movement to even generate funds and resources for the Nigerian government. So much needs to be done in the Ministry of Blue Economy. It is as important as the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, and even more important than the Petroleum Ministry. So I think the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Blue Economy must do enough to borrow a lead from what is being done in other parts of the world to develop their blue economy. It is important. And I think that if we have a national conference on Nigeria's blue economy, we'll be able to discuss issues, set a roadmap, a blueprint, and then you have a master plan on the development of Nigeria's blue economy. I think that if we are able to put some of these measures together, we'll be able to maximize the benefit that our ocean presents to us as a people. Just like our land presents crude oil to us, and today the country is depending on entirely on fossil fuel. It's the same way that those who don't have oil are using their ocean resources. So we can actually be able to diversify our economy through the use of ocean resources, using the Blue Economy Ministry as a platform to develop this area for our country.
Dr. Dumna-Mene, my apologies. I hear you there regarding the importance of the blue economy from the Niger Delta myself, and I espouse to that. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now to a rather sad development. A powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake has struck the Philippines, killing at least 32 people and injuring more than 100 others. The quake, which hit off the coast of Mindanao, caused widespread destruction, collapsing buildings and triggering tsunami alerts across parts of Asia. General Santos City was among the hardest hit areas, with video footage showing a 3-story building housing a Jollibee restaurant crumbling into rubble. Authorities say the inertial earthquake was followed by more than an hour of aftershocks as emergency teams continued to search and also rescue victims. Now to one of our top stories. Leftist Congressman Roberto Sanchez has taken a slim lead against conservative Keiko Fujimori in Peru's presidential race on Monday as officials' vote counting continued into a second day, sending markets and mining stocks lower. With about 94% of votes tallied, Sanchez rose to 50.01%, while Fujimori dropped to 49.99%. Voters cast ballots in the election on Sunday against the backdrop of a rightward shift in Latin America. Fujimori led early results in exit polls, but Sanchez has been gaining ground since Sunday night in the vote count as ballots from Peru's rural regions continue to be counted. Our Tonight returns with business, sports and entertainment. Do stay with us.
Nigeria recorded a trade surplus of 7.54 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2026, representing a 340.88% increase from 1.71 trillion naira in the previous quarter. That's according to the National Bureau of Statistics. The Bureau attributed the sharp rise to increased crude oil exports and lower petroleum product imports. Total trade stood at 34.78 trillion naira, with exports valued at 21.16 trillion naira and imports at 13.61 trillion naira. Crude oil remained the country's leading export, accounting for 52.92% of total exports. China retained its position as Nigeria's largest import source, while India emerged as a top export destination. The Federal Ministry of Finance has approved payments to over 1,240 local contractors, clearing more than 700 billion naira in verified obligations. Minister Taiwo Oyedele said the move follows reconciliation to ensure only legitimate claims were settled. Priority went to SMEs with claims of 100 million naira or less, aiming to spread economic impact. In May alone, 436.6 billion naira was processed. The release is expected to help contractors restart projects, pay workers, and settle suppliers. The government says the disbursement will boost confidence in public financial management, reduce liabilities, and support service delivery across ministries, departments, and agencies nationwide. And coming now to the local bourse, trading week is starting off in the green, thankfully, up 33 basis points. It's clawing its way back to reclaim the gains lost from last week's trading sessions. We're seeing the all-share index now at 243,396.25, market cap 156 trillion, and of course we are up 33 basis points. Coming now to sectoral performance is largely positive. Only consumer goods was in the red, down 1.3%. We're seeing industrial goods as well. That also closed flat, but all other sectors in the green, with oil and gas gaining the most, 87 basis points, the strongest gain. And yes, year-to-date gain is still below 60%, so we still have a lot to claw our way back to. But that's it on Business Tonight. I am Joanna Mustafa. Up next, Okwe brings you sports.
Nigeria Super Falcons stepped up their preparations for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations with a commanding 3-0 victory over Senegal's Teranga Lionesses in an international friendly at the Borno State Stadium at Ikenne earlier today. After a goalless first half, the African champions took control through a brilliant second-half display led by Joy Omewa, who scored twice within 7 minutes. Omewa broke the deadlock in the 48th minute with a header from Shukurat Oladipo's cross before adding a second in the 55th minute after a powerful solo run. Captain Rashidat Ajibade then set up substitute Azizat Oshoala for Nigeria's third goal in the 66th minute.
Some of the lapses we noticed in the first half, particularly our positioning around the box, and then even the conversion. We were too much in a haste, and we lost so many opportunities, so we had to encourage them to calm down and then try to exploit the space, the gap between the defense and the goalkeeper, so that we convert any chance that comes our way. And thankfully, they were able to do that.
Lost the first goal, and I was praying so hard to get another chance. So when it came, I had to put it in, and I'm really grateful the pass came in the time it did.
Nasarawa Amazons climbed to the summit of the Nigerian Women Football League during the Super 6 standing after staging a late comeback to defeat defending champions Bayelsa Queens 2-1 in Port Harcourt earlier today. The Amazons look set for defeat after Chiamaka Ezekugo handed Bayelsa Queens the lead early in the second half. However, Farikenya Moses restored parity in the 80th minute before captain Ayasesa Hemafeban struck deep into stoppage time to seal a dramatic victory and maintain her side's perfect start to the playoffs. Elsewhere, Edo Queens recovered from their opening day loss with a commanding 4-1 win over FC Robo Queens, while Abia Angels continued their impressive debut campaign with a narrow 1-0 victory over host Rivers Angels. The Super 6 resumes on Wednesday with the title race gathering momentum. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has pledged a peaceful and secure opening of the 2026 FIFA World Cup despite ongoing protests by teachers demanding higher salaries and pension reforms. Speaking ahead of Thursday's opening match between Mexico and national football team of South Africa, in Sheinbaum, she did say that authorities would ensure the tournament begins without disruption. Concerns have grown after a teachers' union threatened demonstrations during the opening game if its demands are not met. Tensions escalated earlier this month when police used tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse protesters near the city's central square. Security measures have since been strengthened around fan zones and key venues as Mexico prepares to host the opening ceremony of the expanded World Cup. Finally, on Sports News Tonight, award-winning Somali referee Omar Atan has been denied entry into the United States, jeopardizing his participation at the 2026 FIFA World Cup and ending his bid to become the first Somali official to referee at the tournament. Atan, one of 52 referees selected by FIFA for the World Cup in the United States, Canada and Mexico, was reportedly stopped at Miami International Airport despite holding a valid US visa. He has since returned to Istanbul. Somalia's Ministry of Youth and Sports described the decision as a setback for football and fair competition. Atan, a FIFA-listed referee since 2018, officiated at 2023 Africa Cup of Nations and was named CAF Men's Referee of the Year in 2025, earning widespread recognition.